Good evening, everyone. Merry Christmas. Welcome to the Brawley City Council meeting this evening, successor agency to the Brawley Community Redevelopment Agency. Regular meeting agenda scheduled for today, Tuesday, December 18th, 2018. Beginning here, could we get the roll call, please?
The minutes will reflect all council members present.
Very good. And if I can get Council Member Hamby to help us with the invocation, if we can all please rise.
Let's pray. Almighty God, we are grateful to you tonight, Lord, for this opportunity to guide our city. And we ask that you would give us wisdom in the decisions that we make. We ask that you would protect our town, that you would protect the residents here and our law enforcement, firefighters. Lord, we're grateful for the freedom that we have to gather in this way and to attempt to steer our city. And we ask that you would just watch over us in this holiday season as we approach the end of the year. And we ask all this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. And Mayor Pro Tem Howdy, if you can lead us in the pledge.
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And thank you both for that. We'll go to our first item on the agenda here, item number 1, which is the approval of the agenda. Do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as written.
I'll second.
Have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None opposed. Motion carries. I'll take us to item number 2, public appearances and comments. This section is not to exceed 4 minutes. This is the time for the public to address the council on any items that are not appearing on the agenda. That's within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city council. The mayor will recognize you when you come to the microphone. Please state your name for the record. You are not allowed to make personal attacks on individuals or make comments that are slanderous or which may invade an individual's personal privacy. Please direct your questions and comments to the city council. Do we have any members of the public like to come up? You can come up this way. Mr. Goyle.
Jay Goyle, 890 Fleming Avenue. The reason I'm here is I'm requesting city to do something about our outdoor activities. Mayor Wharton, you did a great job for achieving this such a wonderful work or task. And I'm sure that you would like to become the role model for a lot of people. And here in city, like I want to play tennis tonight. It's a beautiful time, but there's not even one tennis court, none. The pickleball is getting very common, okay, and there's not even one location. So city should really do something about this thing. And so at least for the pickleball, which is, you don't need a fence. It's a very simple setup for pickleball. And we can at least have about 8 pickleball in the Lions Center. And the net comes like $100 if you like a foldable net there. Only thing we need is lining or the striping. And we can put about 4 pickleball in 1 tennis court, a little bit larger tennis court here. So so many people who want to play pickleball, which is getting very popular all over America. And we have no pickleball and tennis court. Some other park location, I understand city has a budget constraint, which I completely understand that thing. But there are so many things can be done with the volunteer work. And volunteer work, we need the leadership. And with the leadership of one of the council members, can do amazing things. Means all over the America you have seen that with this kind of leadership, because there are a lot of volunteers, but they need the direction. And if any of you take this step and start making the phone calls, we can have the free grass, free seeds, free concrete. So much free work can be achieved, free material and the labor under your direction. So here I'm requesting city to take a step, probably make a committee or one of you, okay, become the chairman of that committee and listen to the phone calls. And for the Lions Center, like I said, for badminton, one of the games, which is like mainly indoor games, sometimes outdoor too. And for Lions Center, we can have like certain days for the pickleball, certain days for the badminton. And what basically we need is the striping, which is very low cost for the paint wise. And I'm ready to donate the paint to stripe for badminton and the pickleball in the Lions Center. If city staff can market different colors, and we can have the facility for the poles for like a badminton, which can easily be removed and put it back within like 5 minutes. So this is my request.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Goyle. And again, being on the public comments, this is something that actually relates to some discussions we've already been having as council, myself individually, but also collectively as council. We've talked about fast-tracking volunteer resources. I know I've had discussions with staff about that. So duly noted. I think you had some specific ideas. Maybe we can note there and carry on our conversation, and maybe we'll come back in the future with tangible projects and items on the agenda, but I appreciate that. And I want to thank you for not only those suggestions and ideas, but you've been on the forefront, Mr. Goyle, and a lot of people, not just through U.S. Fitness and your businesses, but very supportive of these type of activities, which usually are focused at our children, our kids, our youth. But I'm going to be a big proponent pushing for all of us as citizens, adults of all ages, to participate in things that are going to be outdoors, including the summer, if you want to dare do that. But
Yeah, thank you. And for like I said, Lion Center is a perfect place for summer also, because we can have like a specific day and we can advertise it accordingly, or we can mark that way. And means at least 8 pickleball court with just the striping and foldable. Listen, I checked online, $99. You can get the foldable net and you can play.
I'll look for that. I haven't played badminton in a long time.
Yeah, but this is, so I request you to take the actions for use the Lions Club for pickleball.
Noted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Goyle. Anybody else for public comment? Seeing none. I'm looking at all the faces. We'll move on. Come to our next item, which will be item 3, which is the consent agenda. Items are approved in one motion. Council members or members of the public may request consent items to be considered separately at a time determined by the mayor. Do we have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as written.
I'll second.
We have a motion. We have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. We'll go to regular business item 4A. 4A is a discussion of potential action to review the solid waste rate adjustment as provided in section 7.3 and 7.5 in the solid waste disposal and recycling franchise agreement between the City of Brawley and Republic Services. Backup materials on pages 29 through 33. And I believe we'll have a frame up here, a presentation from...
Well, Guillermo Cias will be presenting, and we also have in attendance 2 representatives from Republic Services, our division director, Herman Hernandez, and also Mr. Mariscal, your exact title, I'm sorry I didn't ask you that.
Just the fleet manager.
Fleet manager of Republic Services.
But you're
Ernie
supposed to
Mariscal.
say, you're just a fleet manager. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, always talking trash, that guy. He's always talking trash, yeah.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. Guillermo Cias, Public Works Director. As presented on the material attached to the agenda, there's information about the franchise agreement with the Republic Services that entitle them to adjust the rates based on the consumer price index that is on one of the provisions included on the agreement. And based on that, they are providing information for the last year increases according to the index, and they are proposing the 2.9% increase in the rate, and it is included an example on the agenda for residential, how it will be increased, what represents on the residential rate from $21.43. It will be increasing 62 cents up to $22.05. Additionally, it is included on the material the proposed pass-through cost for the mandatory recycling of organics that is also requested by agencies. State agency, and it is presented based on the study that they did on 3 jurisdictions that they provide service. an increase on $1.35. And it is included as an example of for commercial rates that will be an increase from $118.13 to $122.91. It is probably not very clear, but if you have any questions, so I will be more than happy to answer, and also more information from Republic Services representative, it is available.
Thank you, Guillermo, and I'll open it up to council for any questions.
One question, the 2.9%, is that typical of the annual increase?
They presented information that is not, it is around that, but it's not fixed. It's based on the market, the fluctuation. But for the last year, the way that is included on the agreement, it entitled them to go back 1 year and look at the changes on the CPI. And based on that, it was calculated at 2.9.
And if I may, Mr. Hamby, in prior years, we've actually experienced years in the time that I've been with the council, that there've been no increase because the CPI didn't support an adjustment. What we are informing the council of in this item is to let you know that this year they are eligible for the CPI rate adjustment per the franchise agreement. So we don't allow for the change to pass without just making the council aware that this particular index indicates a change is warranted. So that's the 2.9 reference. The organics recycling component is a new requirement and a new set of regulations that the city is tasked with compliance for by the state of California. And so what Republic has requested is based on new obligations that they have to perform, that an increase be considered by the city council.
And organics, is that stuff like paint and?
I would be happy to have our division manager from Republic Services step forward and actually do a quick education piece on the organics recycling component. If the council has an appetite for it, I believe he's got just a very brief summary to share with you that may be helpful.
Good evening, Mayor and members of City Council. My name is Herman Hernandez with Republic Services, a division manager. And I wanted to talk to you regarding the pass-through for the implementation costs of an organics program in accordance with mandates established by CalRecycle. So there's two components. The first one is Assembly Bill 1826, which is organics, and AB 341, which is commercial mandatory recycling. AB 1826 requires jurisdictions to provide organic waste recycling services to businesses. Initially, the requirement was for large volume generators, Tier 1 and Tier 2. And in 2019, the requirements is for businesses that generate 4 cubic yards or more a week. Across the state, the jurisdictions are to implement an organic waste recycling program to divert organic waste generated by businesses, including multifamily residential dwellings that consist of 5 or more units for green waste generations on site. AB 341 is for commercials that generate 4 cubic yards or more of commercial solid waste per week as a multifamily residential dwelling of 5 units or more shall arrange for recycling services. Businesses can take one or any combination of the following in order to reuse, recycle, compose, or otherwise divert solid waste from disposal. They can self-haul, subscribe to a hauler, or arrange for the pickup of recyclable materials. So Republic Services requests for additional costs associated with implementing an organics waste recycling program in 2019. This initial audit identifies opportunities for businesses to recycle organics and help the city meet the compliance requirements mandated in AB 1826, the organic waste. Additionally, we will also audit for compliance with AB 341. The audit will consist of completing an on-site audit of each business, bin and cart, identifying recycling or waste diversion opportunities, identify which businesses meet already the AB 341 commercial recycling, identify establishments, and estimate cubic yard of food waste and green waste under AB 1826 by tier, and identify businesses which fall under the Tier 3 exception. Identify if any recycling or self-haul or third-party efforts. offer additional organic recycling opportunities to each business. So we have a consultant that exclusively works for Republic Services, been meeting with her and with Cal Recycle. We were getting the information from her that this is coming down, it's been coming down, but there's actually some tier 3 that she informed us about, that she educated us about, that we have businesses here that will be exempt because they have so little food waste that if they were just to give it away or donate it, that they wouldn't have to fall under this recycling program. So what she's gonna come here and do is bring her team out here, do an overall audit, provide all this information, attend meetings or whatever she needs to make sure that the city of Brawley is in compliance, work with the businesses. So in 2019, we won't have to service organics because there won't be a need to, because we won't fall under this criteria that's mandated by the Cal Recycle. So it's a win situation. It keeps the city of Brawley in compliance, and at the same time, the residents or the commercial businesses won't have to be paying this organic waste that can be very, very expensive because there's no volume yet for it, or either there's a site for it. So it's really the education purposes, and again, at the same time, working with the cities and also making sure that we're in compliance with them.
So what is the payment that we're making to you, this amount of money right here?
So it's broken down. So the CPI is gonna be
Right,
the
the
2.9.
Got that.
And the $1.35 that's for the commercial is just for the commercial commercial businesses. So what we did was we took the number of commercial business we have for all 3 cities, and we broke it down by account. So every account, commercial, for the city of Brawley and our other cities, they pay the same amount, and they would pay that. So there's no, we didn't raise the price or anything, we just a pass-through from what we're paying for the services.
Organics does or does not include green waste? It's just food waste?
At the moment, yes, it's food waste.
This food waste, okay.
I heard organics, I'm thinking VOCs like from paint, but
Well,
No.
there was talks about how in the future, I know that they want to compile both organics to be with green waste, but at the time, it's really just the food waste only.
So this is a 4% increase to businesses that produce that kind of waste, or every business that utilizes a service?
Well, it's for everybody, so it's for everybody, so we can conduct the 2.9 is just for the CPI.
Right, I got
Yes.
that, but the 135 charge is
It's for all commercial businesses.
all commercial businesses.
Yes, that's correct.
would be required, and so that results in them having a 4% increase as opposed to the 2.9 that's residential.
That's correct.
Any other questions? Council, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Yep, appreciate it. Is there any other discussion amongst council here? None?
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the CPI adjustment rate.
I'll second the motion.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? We
Do we
clear,
need to
none
clarify?
So
opposed?
to clarify,
Yeah.
it's the CPI increase in addition to the
Organics.
organics increase of 1.1. So actually, the CPI increase does not require council action. It's
Oh.
the,
It's
The
automatic.
organics?
yes, the
The
organics
organics.
Okay,
component of
I'll
1.1%.
Okay, I'll amend my motion to reflect that.
And I'll amend my second to reflect the motion.
And we'll call for the question again with the new motion that's been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. We'll move on to the next item, which is regular business item 4B. Discussion and potential action to authorize the U.S. Federal Aviation Administration to provide a commissioning flight inspection of the PAPIs, which is the Precision Approach Path Indicator, and the rails, the runway end identification lights at the Brawley Municipal Airport, to certify project completion in the amount of $18,752.58, which is 100% FAA grant reimbursable. Backup material on pages 34 through 42. It looks like we have our Public Works Director, Guillermo Marcellus, will provide us
Hi,
some more
good evening
information.
again. Yes, this item is for the recent completed project, electrical and lighting replacement on the airport. And this is an inspection that is required by FAA, and they request to do a final inspection to certify that everything is according to the standards and regulations. And this fee that they are charging for the inspection is 100% reimbursable from the grant. So we still have some money available to cover this expense.
Okay,
Very good. Any questions?
I'll make the motion
Seeing
to
none.
approve this.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you. That'll take us to departmental reports, item 5. And I see none listed here. Do we have any? None. Move on to the next item. We'll go around to city council member reports. And we'll begin with Councilmember Luke Hamby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I attended a planning commission meeting and missed the tree lighting ceremony because of that. That's okay. I still got some hot chocolate and a cookie.
Christmas.
Thank you. I attended with most of, or all of the rest of council, the Pure Grow meeting that Sea Clear emceed, I guess, or hosted. And that was an interesting meeting, for sure. There were a lot of very big feelings there, and the community members there made it clear that they want it clean. I met with Katie Luna from the Chamber of Commerce and Sylvia Castañeda from Sylvia's Little Treasures. She's interested in reviving the Downtown Merchants Association or something like that. So looking to see some action among the business owners downtown this year. I got a phone call or two from John Samples, Johnny on Wheels, and he is excited for what is coming in 2019 and hopeful for some volunteer projects. And I mentioned to him what Mayor Wharton has said about developing a fast-track program for volunteer projects. And I hope that sooner rather than later we can put together, if we need some type of policy implementation for a checklist of what a volunteer group needs to bring to the city so that their project can be pushed through quickly. If we can put together those guidelines, if they're not already in place, that would be wonderful. I attended the chamber mixer at CVB a few nights ago. It's good to see fellow council members there. I won in the raffle a bottle of wine, which I promptly handed over to Mayor Wharton. Not realizing that it had a $30 gift card to Chabella's attached to it.
See,
So,
that'll teach you for not drinking.
He was kind enough to pull the card and give it to me.
He did.
So
Turn that back to you.
I can go there and buy non-alcoholic beverages with a $30 gift card. So, and I believe that's it for my report.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
and everybody
Councilmember.
have a wonderful Christmas and Happy New Year.
Likewise.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Couchman.
Okay, I did attend the Pure Growth site meeting. As we all are aware, I didn't stay for the whole thing, but I was there for most of it. Interesting, and it is clear what the people want, and we'll see how we can go about achieving that in the future here. The tree lighting ceremony, that was very nice, very, very nice ceremony. I think we do a good job with that. We have the kids there, and I think the Santa Claus coming on the fire truck makes a difference, and Mrs.
Looks
Claus
awfully familiar.
and all of that. I think that's very, very exciting. So certainly for the children that we had. I think there weren't maybe as many due to the weather, and there were some other things going on, but I did notice that.
It seemed like a bigger,
Do you
seemed like
think
a
it was a
bigger
bigger
audience.
crowd?
Yeah, I think it was a bigger
It
crowd.
didn't seem like it to me, but
Yeah.
maybe you're right. Maybe you're
Yeah,
right.
it was a bigger
And
crowd.
then I also attended the Mount Signal 3 ribbon cutting, both as their consultant and as a representative of the city. And Capital Dynamics and 8 Minute had their ribbon cutting out there. It was a large event, and we're lucky that the rain stopped, or we would have had a problem. And so we were very pleased with that event and opening up that site, which is one of the larger ones in California for development of solar electricity development. I attended the pilot ribbon cutting. Nice ribbon cutting out there for the pilot. I've been out there a couple of times, talked to people. Everybody seems happy about that. I noticed they are pulling a lot of traffic off the bypass, and I think that's a good thing for out in that area. I met with 3 groups of students from the civics class regarding my service here as a city councilman. a couple of questions about government in general. And so the three groups of students were pretty excited to be here. They videotaped that, and they were doing a project at the high school under the direction of the civics teachers. So I thought that was great. I had a library board meeting that I attended as the alternate, and that lasted 3 hours. And Luke owes me, but it's partly my fault because I do a lot of talking with the ladies that are a part of that group, and they have a lot of interesting things to talk about, and so part of it is my problem. But it was a nice meeting. I think Rosanna was there, and they discussed a lot of different issues there. Thank you, Marjo. And then the CVB mixer, I also attended that, and that was a great event over at Community Valley Bank, and I thought that went very well. So, and that is my report.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Couchman. Councilmember Nava.
Well, thank you, everybody. I also attended the Pure Grow meeting. That was interesting, to say the least. Chamber mixer over at CVB, that was also a lot of fun. It's good to see, on an annual basis, they've been supportive of.
A winner.
Yeah, I won a couple times. I typically return items, but not this time. So I was like, I don't want to. It's been a long year. So
I didn't win anything.
Also attended the ICTC meeting recently on behalf of the city, and I'll bring some information back to the city council at our next meeting. Also attended the Board of Realtors annual dinner and installation here in Brawley at the Stockman's Club, and that was interesting. I'm now a member of the Association of Realtors, so that's a good thing. And also, the tree lighting was very good. My daughter Abigail liked it, and she got to say hello to everybody, so that was fun for her. And she actually got to say hello at the Angel Tea, so she had fun. Little brat, that girl. And then Pilot. That was obviously very good for the city and good for everybody. There's, I think, 80 jobs that are created out there? How many jobs?
That's what it was.
Yeah, it was
That's
like
what he
80
said.
jobs, so that's a good sign.
That's a lot.
I did speak to the manager over the weekend, and he did tell me that, that as the truck traffic is increasing, he said, they speak to one another, and I think they had an issue because of the mapping on Google showed the location where Jack in the Box is at in Brawley. So that kind of created some conflict for them. So they're getting that corrected. And, well, it's not, because it's business that's, it was confusing people. It's confusing truckers. So,
I meant in a different funny way.
yeah, I know, but so he was working on getting that corrected. It does take a few days. I've had to do that in the past for myself, and it does take a few days to correct. So I'm hoping that gets done soon. I will be attending Career Day at Barbara Worth Junior High School on Thursday. So hopefully that goes very well. It usually does. And anything else? Let's see. A few other things. I met with a few community members, business members, and I'm happy to say, too, with my own business, I passed a very critical financial inspection this weekend, so I'm happy about that, and I got my credentials on that today, so we're going to rock and roll in 2019. I'm happy about it, and I'm excited. So anyway, enough of my reporting. I want to thank you all very much for everything that you do, and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year if I don't see you. But I do have a little gift for all the employees and for council members, and I'll be handing those out, just a little tiny token of appreciation. I'll hand those out at some point this week. I'm hoping Abigail can help me out without creating too much of a fuss. So anyway, thank you all very much.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Nava, and definitely best sweater of the year right there. So appreciate that.
Christmas.
Yeah, it's very nice. Mayor Pro Tem, Councilor Howdy.
Thank you. Well, I attended a lot of the same events that the rest of the council attended, and I guess I won't bore you with the itinerary, but in addition to some of those events, let's see, well, I actually have had interviews with 4 groups of students from Brawley Union High School for their civics class, and it's been actually pretty rewarding to see that they're doing this, because I remember when I took civics, it was just a class, and you studied, and you passed the test, and you aced it, and then you moved on. So now they actually make them learn what political science is all about and what civics is all about. So it's really good. I enjoy talking to the students and telling them what we do on a day-to-day basis. So it's been enjoyable. let's see, I also attended the Mountain Signal 8-minute energy ribbon cutting, which was really a nice event, and we even got to ride around in little golf carts. You might see a video of Rosanna and I in a little golf cart driving around in between the solar panels, so that was kind of neat. I also attended the Alex Chavelas Bicycle Christmas fundraising event, and that was well attended, and they had music and the whole thing, so that's an annual event that they put on. And, of course, I attended the Pure Grow workshop, and that was, like everybody said, it was pretty interesting, and we need to probably consider moving on with that one as soon as we can. I also have been attending the meetings with, along with Councilman Luke Hamby and Katie Luna with Sylvia from Little Treasures regarding the downtown merchants and some efforts that they're putting together to try to improve our downtown, and of course all of us are in support of that. So we'll keep everyone posted on what's happening with that. And Sylvia's Little Treasures actually had a grand reopening on Main Street on Friday, and I was able to attend that, and she had a fantastic turnout. There was just a lot of people in there.
Wow.
I don't know how I didn't really have a chance to talk to her too much, and we did take a picture, and I posted it on Facebook. But I think she has different partners now, or I don't know if she's just gonna do that on I'm not sure how she's gonna do it. But she had 4 or 5 different people that were actually selling things also. So that drew a lot more people and a lot more merchandise. So very successful, I thought. And let's see, I think that's all in addition to what the rest of the council attended. I'm also looking forward to participating in some of George's expertise on video recording. We have a few appointments set up with some of the local businesses in these coming weeks, so I'm looking forward to that. And I guess George is becoming our expert video tech.
I wouldn't say about that, but it definitely,
It's really good.
it's a labor, honestly, of love. I love helping businesses, and I think it's great exposure. But, what really made sense to me is that it made an impact on people's businesses,
Yes,
which is
it
great.
did.
So I like seeing
Yeah,
that.
it did. And actually, the ones that George and Donnie have posted already, so some of the people that I know that are on Facebook and read it then ask me, hey, what about my business? I'd like to do that. And so that's what's prompted more businesses that want exposure, and it's working. And I think we're doing a great job with that. So I appreciate George's efforts in getting that going. And that's about it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mayor Pro Tem Kastner Howdigy. I'm going to rip down my list just because I want to and make sure that it's a busy time of year, and I think it's really important, again, that everyone knows your entire council is not only out there, but we also individually are out there covering a lot of different events that occur this time of year. You mentioned just the social media, somewhat of the social media, the videos. That was really an example of what we've been talking about we got to get out there and communicate. I know that's a little bit of a cross-promotional deal with some of our local businesses, but I think at the end of the day, hopefully that's something in the near future we can come back up and still continue to discuss. And you can see our public, our constituents, our citizens are thirsting for this kind of content information about what's going on in their city. So again, that's my little grandstanding on that, but I think it's important to mention, and I know that it's not by accident. But the pilot grand opening was fantastic. The only thing I'll say, I had very sore legs because I was within hours of completing the Ironman in Indian Wells the day before. Some people were actually surprised I showed up, but how can you miss the grand opening of the ribbon cutting for the pilot commercial center there, because that's been many years coming. So again, very proud of that, and congratulations to that whole group and organization. Was a little late to the Christmas tree lighting because of the rain, but I did actually make it, and I did get a picture with Santa and Mrs. Claus, so I've got
Why are you
proof of
pointing out
that.
to the audience?
I don't know, they look familiar.
Oh.
They look familiar. I didn't say it was them. I'm just pointing out to the audience, to the public,
Yeah, you're
Actually,
like-
that's north, right?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
pointing north.
Took a picture with Santa Claus and
Yeah, North Pole. I took a picture.
And I'm about to point at Marjo for Angel T for thank you for bringing us the pizza flavored tamales, but nonetheless,
tamales.
it was,
Those are, you know,
The
we got
pizza
something on
tamales
there.
were excellent, yeah.
I really appreciate our staff can think on their feet constantly, so the show went on and it worked out fantastic, so thank you for all of our volunteers. And then I also been tapped to be a part of the 5150 ad hoc committee with the county. I just wanted to kind of announce that. Maybe that's appropriate for me to be on that. I don't know, but Chief, there's some really good work coming ahead with this particular committee and group. So just tough to meet this time of year, but our first kickoff meeting is really going to come together in January. So be happy to report back to council on the findings there, because that's something that touches all of our communities, no question. Purigo workshop was already mentioned. I'm just glad we were able to make some comment via the media to make sure there's some clarification there in the city's role. So as our council member echoed, we're hoping for a positive resolution for all stakeholders here pretty soon. The CVP mixer, well attended, attended that. Also, I met with the chamber specifically on 2019 events that are coming up, and also specifically for the mayor's address coming up. So we've got some plans coming together pretty quick for that. We're going to switch it up a little bit. I won't announce anything beyond that other than try to make it a little bit different. But nonetheless, at the same time, hopefully very enjoyable and informational for the public and all those, as well as obviously the chamber stakeholders that are a part of that. Met with our staff, and I'm going to start echoing this a little bit. We're doing feasibility. We're looking at the potential impacts and costs of what it could be if we had our own mini triathlon here in the city of Brawley. I've also individually have mentioned this to our council members. I've kind of started echoing in our meetings, but we'll see what our findings are and report back to the public. If something we can do, we're going to look at it, as I really want to kind of get behind the whole idea that I think Mr. Goyle brought up of getting out, health, wellness, and really just becoming a healthier community. So with that said, the student interviews, I was a part of that, met with 3 groups. I was asked actually some very tough questions on camera that were some of the more charged national questions, such as potentially immigration, maybe the sides of it, not just in general. So I certainly did my level best to represent well, all of our constituents.
Did
but
they ask you for your papers?
secure borders, yeah. So, but really trying not to just rip just that, but obviously something that our students can kind of learn from and understand that look, some issues that are taken publicly are meant to be spun as if they're politicized, but for us here, obviously near and dear. But it was very, very impressive actually with the groups that I met with. One of them wanted definitely one of our jobs, probably mine. So they were looking at electing. They're already 18, so and I said, okay. And outside of that, I just want to wish everyone a very enjoyable, peaceful Christmas and rest of the holiday season with your families, because that's what it's all about. I look forward to this time of year where everything kind of hopefully slows down a little bit, so you can kind of get up and outside of putting in a little bit of, some of the last remaining things of the year, day's work, whatever, you can really start enjoying that time with the family. So I wish everyone a Merry, Merry Christmas, and we will go on from there. I will stop. City Manager's Report, item 7.
The only item I thought I might give a brief summary on is Main Street roadway activities. What's going on in the Caltrans right-of-way. We are working with Caltrans to make sure all of the community is aware of the schedule of roadway work that extends from Las Flores east to the intersection of First and Brawley Avenue. That paving work will continue through December 4th. And then there'll be work done within that segment to restore the loops that have an effect on the timing of traffic signals, and there'll be striping in that section. That'll be followed by the leg to the south that will extend from Main Street, Brawley Avenue, Main Street, up to I Street. We fielded many, many calls yesterday and today, concerns about why the activity seemed to slow, the state of the roadway, and I had an opportunity to speak with Caltrans and better understand kind of where it stood. The project did experience some minor delays as a result of the rain, and some of what they discovered as they peeled down the layers was some really deteriorated roadway. So the good news is today they began paving the lanes, and it was pretty impressive to see that setup as they did one lane at a time, starting from the northernmost lane and working their way to the south. I think we're going to have a much safer set of conditions out there for our travelers. And what we're trying our best to do is encourage all of our residents to be patient, because we know not only is this going to disturb circulation, but we have a very large set of roadway improvements for which we'll be opening bids later this week. And it tries everybody's patience.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
been
it's gonna get
interesting
wild.
as I've talked
Yeah.
with people about the December 24th. That is awesome. We're going to have such an amazing Main Street section after this is done, and it's just in time for Christmas. But it's this
I think if
current state is.
If we could have gotten ahead of it, though, I know there's a
Yeah.
lot of public discussion and frustration, and it, unfortunately, they see road work in the city of Brawley, and they think it's the city of Brawley doing it, and so I think just if we could have informed them in advance. I know the press release came out today, and that helps, but
And it's still
know.
general. They
Yeah,
cluster
exactly.
the Westmoreland and,
Yeah, I know, and El Centro.
Brawley.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's got
I mean, and the press release is really, I think it opened up El Centro, California, is where it's,
Right.
it's not, it's hard to relate if you don't understand. So, yeah. Anyway,
Right.
sorry to.
So we'll after that 24th is hit, we'll change up the messaging to describe the activities to the south, and do our level best to be sure that our travelers have the information in hand. Like I said, everybody that started off upset when they received the additional information as to where things stand did much better knowing that there's an end in sight. I think some of those deteriorated roadway conditions that were really kind of, left people dodging some real patches of missing asphalt.
Well, and I think the dust from the asphalt grinding and stuff went on for a week, and I think that was a little much, but just my observation.
Yeah. I did receive some concerns about the dust.
There was a lot of dust, and you can see it on the signs. I mean, you can see it on everything. But
There was some kind of a technical explanation provided for the conditions, that a greater layer than what was planned for removal
was removed.
was removed, and then what was encountered was
Yeah.
so much worse than what was expected. But
How technical do you have to
Some
be to know,
improvement.
if you scrub something up, it's gonna get worse?
I
you know what I'm saying?
think the terminology was fine milling versus, I might, I did receive
Fine
a
milling.
much lengthier description of conditions.
I have
from
my
a
own
city
terms, but I
engineer.
can't share them here, you know what I mean? So,
There's three types of removal. The thicker one is what they call cold planing. The intermediate, which is what they did, is micro milling. And the very fine, that is usually when they finish the paving, and just to grind to make it smoother, is called diamond grind. So there's three types. And they did the second one to supposedly make it more
Mm-hmm.
smooth for traffic, but obviously didn't work out because the condition of the existing pavement.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
So that's what happened. In usually when they grind the asphalt, it creates a lot of dust because all the groups that are formed, hold the
hold
dust,
it
which
all
is
there
very
and release it.
difficult. And the schedule is supposed to be start paving last Friday, so they were delayed like 3 days because of raining and also a portion of the contractor. But the good news, as a city manager mentioned, is that they started and they plan to finish by Friday or by Monday at the latest.
Okay. Well,
That's
hopefully that'll satisfy.
End up being a good Christmas
It was pretty
present, because I
bad.
think the end product's going to be really nice, so, yeah.
I do want to also note that we're expecting a summary report from the Center for Creative Land Recycling as it relates to the Pure Go workshop, and I'll be sharing that with you in the not-so-distant future. And we hope over this next 2 weeks that we'll be sharing some information with council and the community about the opening of Taco Bell. So we're getting close to completion there, and you probably noticed that some of the concrete work is well underway, and we're
Right,
looking
saw
forward
that.
to those alley improvements also between the block behind, or the length of the block behind Taco Bell, between Western Avenue and Brawley Avenue. And with that, wish everybody a very Merry Christmas, and we have so much to be grateful for, and thank you for the chance to work on great community projects for the city.
Thank you, Rosina. We appreciate that. We'll go to item number 8, City Attorney's Report.
We just have a short closed session.
Very good. And City Clerk's Report.
The mayoral appointments will be on the January 15th meeting.
Okay.
So I'm going to send them to you prior so you guys can start
Arm wrestling.
deciding who's going to stay or whatever. I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you very much, Alma. And that'll take us to closed session. We'll take a brief couple-minute break. Thank you and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everyone.